100% what we want, cross fingers, is to be able to go in here with just this guy. I don't think I'm going to be in time. Hello and welcome back to the last days, and well, we have some dwarves wanting to interlope into our territory, and I'm not a big fan of that, thank you very much. And we even have a siege. I don't even understand why this is happening, to be honest, because if we take a look at the reports right here and take a look at the faction strength, you can see that factions are normally besieged when below 4,000 strength. And if we take a look at Rune here, you can quite clearly see that we are way above 4,000. So I'm not entirely sure whether this is a desperation move or whether it is a difference in strength between the two factions that matters the most. So for example, if both factions are within the 4,000 strength limit, then it may provide them the ability to do that. But obviously, I'm not entirely sure about that. That is not confirmed in any way, shape, or form, and that is just conjecture on my part. But Erebor does have 2,335, and we have 5,777. So it could be in the realm of possibility that is the case. But we'll see either way, because what I'd like to do is make my way over here. I would like to try and assist with this particular vassal. We're going to do that very, very quickly. And bear in mind that I have leveled up as well. I would like to be able to spend my points on screen, so that's why I haven't done anything about it just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and repel the attack at the main rune camp, because obviously, well, I mean, we don't want our capital to fall, because in this mod, if your capital falls, then the entirety of your faction is destroyed, or at least that's how it used to be. I'm not sure if the mod creators have changed that or anything like that. I hope not, because I think that that's actually a really cool mechanic, kind of like a sudden death sort of thing, and you could just aim for the heart of the opponent if you wanted to eliminate them really fast and quickly and efficiently. But obviously, it in turn does make it much more deadly for yourself as well. So there's a lot higher stakes to worry about. And I actually quite like that. I like that quite a bit, because personally, I'm not a big fan of a massive amount of grinding. I don't really like grinding against, you know, thousands upon thousands of troops just to get you know, one castle or something like that. And you know, generally, if your mod is balanced in a nice way, then you're not going to have to do that. Obviously, it very much depends on the kind of mod that you're making. Of course, you know, I feel like The Last Days has a really good balance to it, and that's the reason why it's one of my favorite mods ever. It is not my favorite mod of all time, that is, but it definitely is in the top 5. I would probably say it is maybe even in the top 3, just because of how much it innovates with the amount of different systems that are introduced in the game. So there's also that. So it's very good, and I would highly recommend it if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, or in general, if you're just a fan of really good mods. Then highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Nothing to complain about with The Last Days whatsoever. It's really quite crazy, and if you think about it, how good it actually is. And yeah, I don't even know. Anyway, it's kind of like a similar quality to Prophecy of Pendor, which is also in my top 5. So that's also a thing. Okay, seems like this is no longer under siege. I actually wonder where they went then. That's a bit weird, isn't it? That is super strange. Okay, so someone actually mentioned that maybe, just maybe, it would be a good idea for us to have a couple of orcish cavalry to kind of supplement our rune cavalry and to increase our army size. But obviously, I think that the army size increase does not work with orcish cavalry. It only works with orcish infantry and archers and things like that. But the point is, your suggestion has been heard, and I'm thinking it might actually be pretty cool to do so. I mean, I did try to incorporate a couple of them in the past, And then I thought, well, I'm just going to try and focus on rune for the moment, and then we'll see what happens. But as you can quite clearly tell, we are maxed out right here in terms of rune units. So we can't really do anything about that. But what I will say is when and or if, I mean, it's more like a question of when at this point, but when my units get murdered, which they inevitably will, I'm going to replace some of them with some Orcish cavalry, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I have leveled up, as I said, and we are now going to be speccing into something. Okay, so I have 4 points in Weapon Master. I think I might like to get a little bit more in that. I'd love to be able to improve my two-handed weapons just that much faster, so I'm thinking we're going to go for another point in Strength. I'm a little bit dubious about doing that, to be honest, because here's the thing. Strength-based characters, they're very strong in combat, but they don't really do anything else very well. Leadership is also something that I am quite desperately wanting to level up, but unfortunately, whenever I look at my stats and I see, oh look, I have 6 charisma, well, it just kind of puts me off, you know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to go for Power Strike here, and we're going to go for some more points in two-handed. There we go. Actually, should I do that? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. I think that's pretty good, because then my two-handed can maybe one-shot some people, because at the moment, my two-handed weapon that I recently acquired is not actually capable of doing that, which is really strange, in my opinion. Okay, wait a minute. Why is this guy wanting to attack me? I should really take a look and see what he has. He doesn't seem to have anything too interesting. I'm actually kind of surprised. All right, let's do it. He's only got 66. I'm thinking that he has no clue what he's actually up against. He seems to be a little bit, I don't know, seems to be a little bit strange, because personally, for me, I'd never go into a battle against Rune in plain fields. I mean, you could quite clearly see that, look at this, this is just absolutely glorious for my cavalry. There's nothing that the enemy can do. We are going to circle around them, we're going to shoot them in the back, we're going to shoot them in the front, we are going to charge into them straight up, and there's nothing they can do. They are literally just going to perish in pretty much every way. And I'm hopefully going to be able to level up my two-handed weapon skill a little bit here and there. Don't really care too much about who I hit at this point. I'm basically just trying to level up my proficiency as fast as possible. Speaking of that, I do need to get into a siege. Getting into a siege would be the greatest, most efficient way of leveling up my proficiency, because there are just so many units to fight. That's actually the main reason why I headed back to the main rune camp, because I was extremely hopeful that I might be able to get into a siege defense or something along those lines, because a siege defense is... oh yeah, a siege defense is going to be super good for that purpose. Being able to just stand behind your, well, battlements, I guess you could call them, stand behind your battlements, and generally just take advantage of the whole situation in such a great way, and then, you know, just seeing what's going on. So that is definitely something I would want. Now let's just take a quick look at what else is going on here. Hello there, King Dane. Now, he has massive amounts of units, as you can quite clearly tell. He's not going to be exiting from Erebor in quite some time, I think, because he is at 12% HP, which is obviously something that he he desperately wants to make right again. So we'll see what happens with that. But otherwise, we're just going to take advantage here of there being basically no vassal presence from Erebor at all, and we're going to prey upon their caravans and maybe their prisoner train as well, if I see a couple of people that I'd like to cherry pick from that, because being able to rescue a bunch of high-tier units from a prisoner train is just an absolute dream. It really is. Any single time you can do that, especially for free, if you lose no units or very little units in the process, then you're going to have a great time. Anyway, let's see if I can maybe just level up my archery a little bit here. We're doing fantastically well, by the way, with my archery. I don't know whether you've noticed, but my crosshair is extremely accurate now, which I'm very pleased about. I think I might have spec'd a bit too much into mounted archery. I seem to remember that mounted archery is actually only good up to either skill level 5 or skill level 6, dependent on how much proficiency and power draw and stuff like that you have. I've forgotten the calculation regarding that, but there used to be a calculation where it would basically say, hey, you know what, you don't need more than this. It doesn't give you that much benefit in terms of accuracy gain while moving. But you can quite clearly tell that my accuracy is pretty much on point. I really don't have to worry about it in the least. Okay, so let's take a look. They have 2 War Riders of Rune, which might be worth me attacking. I do have 5 spaces, however, which might make sense for me to go and get some orcs. I mean, it might be quite fun to get some orcs, right? Maybe? Let me actually just take a quick look here real fast. I would like to see how many resource points I have. Okay, Mount Gundabad actually has 15,000 for me, so that's actually really nice. So I'm thinking what we'll do is I'm going to swing around Thranduil's halls, because it might make sense for me to just check up on them a little bit, you know, just to kind of run a little bit of interference here and there. And if they do pop their heads out, and you know, maybe I can do a little bit of a swift bonk to the face for them, then that would be quite nice. But obviously, that very much depends on if they're even around. They might not be. But yeah, we're gaining 500 resource points. Oh, hello. Wait a minute. King Brand. What? King Brand is literally running around with 75 units. Can I fight him without getting the other guy involved? No. They are way too close. They are way too close. But also, they are on the cusp, or on the border of Mirkwood. And obviously, as you know, I don't really like fighting in Mirkwood. It is way too mountainous and hilly, and it's just an absolute chore to fight in. So, generally, I tend not to go over there. Now, let's see what these elves decide to do. They might be deciding to do something fun. Aha! Okay, now this is actually kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure why they're deciding to do this. I really needed to speak to my people as well. As you can quite clearly tell, I should have definitely spoken to them. They were in and around Rune's territory at the time, and I completely dropped the ball there. Oh well, never mind. Okay, so we're going to actually go in here. I know, this is actually the first time that we're doing a battle where we are outnumbered by the elves. But I'm very much hopeful, shall we say, maybe a little bit overeager potentially, for us to achieve victory here. I don't know how we're going to do, but we're going to tell everyone to charge in once again. Generally, you don't have a huge amount of options in Warband. You are able to form some formations, like for example, in some mods they do allow you to form wedge formation with your cavalry, shield wall. You know, spreading out more, obviously, as you can see right there, is a default behavior. You can advance and so on and so forth, but there's not that much to do in terms of basic formations and things like that. I think there are more formations dependent on what you select, but for my specific settings, there isn't too much to speak of, which is kind of a little bit of a shame, but, you know. Can't really do much about that right now, because I'm just going to go in right here and do massive... actually, wait a minute. I'm not going to do massive damage, apparently. What? Did you see that guy's shield? That elf's shield was just littered with arrows, and I'm just gobsmacked. What? He literally was just tanking all of that. He was like, oh yes, this is absolutely fine. I'm going to die. Please don't. No. Ah, yeah. I got stopped by one of my own cavalry. See, now that wouldn't have happened in Bannerlord. That wouldn't have happened in Bannerlord because the horse riding combat, or shall we say maneuverability, in Warband is a little bit, yeah, you know, it's a little bit janky in comparison. It's much smoother in Bannerlord, as you would expect from a 10-year advancement in the game mechanics. But anyway, that is indeed a victory for us. That's all I basically wanted. I kind of wanted to kill some people, to be honest. I wanted to get some more slashes in there, try and get my proficiency leveled up some more. But oh well. There we go. We actually ended up losing 24 units. However, we do gain a massive amount of rank points with Gundabad, which is really nice. And, well, we do get to rescue some prisoners, which is kind of pointless. But, you know, apart from that, we have taken care of King Thranduil, which is actually fantastic, and one of his stronger stronger vassals. So I'm pretty happy with this. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to head on over to Gundabad itself. Wait a minute. What's happening here? Scouts report that the Woodland Realm gathered a large army in the vicinity of Thranduil's halls in a last-ditch attempt to defend the capital. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is basically their last cry for defense. They basically can't do anything else apart from that. They're so low in terms of their combat strength that they aren't able to do anything more than this. But have a look at these guys. Oh yeah, you're gonna need a lot to take care of these fellows. Guardians of the Woodland Realm. They are 414 strong, and they are going to be very difficult to deal with. But thankfully, I'm not the one that has to deal with them right now. I should be alright. Woodsman Village has just come under siege. I might want to head over there. But first, we are going to go to Gundabad and try and get some orcs to begin with. Because I am able to recruit more orcs thanks to that special item that I gained in a previous episode as well. So let's go into the stash first of all. And I'd like to sell a couple of these good quality metal scraps just to improve my resources with them a little bit. And now we'll go into the wonderful area here. Look at this. I don't know how good these are. How good are these? Are they actually good, or are they just absolute trash? I don't actually know, but we'll no doubt find out very soon. Yes, okay. I'm gonna get a couple of the other goblins and things as well, because bear in mind that they are going to level up, so we'll see how that goes. What about the Master of the Caves? He might have something for me. Mountain goblins in the area, 41. No, okay, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I was hoping that maybe they would ask for the metal gathering quest or something like that. I think that would be quite fun to do. But yeah, let's have a look. Goblin riders, Gundabad orcs, orc fighters. These guys probably level up into nothing good. At least from my perspective. Let's have a look. We're going to go to Mount Gundabad right here. Okay, yeah, so Orc Fighters, they level up into basically nothing. I'm going to make them into Orc Berserkers. So if they do end up dying, at least they might have a chance to kill as many things as they possibly can. But you can see here that their stats are basically abysmal. And the main reason for them is so that they can literally just swarm the opponent. That is what you want them to do. I very much like how they have distributed the skills and the proficiencies for both of these units, because you can see here this obviously has no ranged attack whatsoever, and their stats reflect that. There are a number of mods out there that tend to be a little bit weird when it comes to what kind of stats some units have. For example, some units will have, like, I don't know, 0 in crossbows but use a crossbow. You know what I mean? It basically makes no sense. So I really like that about this as well. The attention to detail is just fantastic. And obviously these guys, they are going to be using horse archery as well. Alright, so I'm going to just very quickly head on to the Goblin Southern Outpost as well, because I'm hopeful that I might be able to recruit some more units from there too. Yep, I indeed am. Very nice indeed. Let's get some Warg Riders, some Goblins, some Orcs. And you can see here that my company size is actually increasing. The reason why is because orcs are terrible units, and that's the reason, because they want you to have a massive amount of them. And as I said before, if you are wanting to see a huge army of orcs / uruks, then I'd highly recommend checking out the Uruk series that I have on the channel. There's a playlist of like 30-something videos. 40, I think, 40-something videos. And yeah, we have over 1,000 troops in my army there. So you can see some crazy things going on. Anyway, let's make our way over to the Wood Elf village. Oh, Bjorning village has actually also come under siege. That is fantastic. We are right here. That is really good. And we're going to be getting some Goblin Riders here. We'll get some of these guys. Gundabad Orcs will level up as well. Horse Archers, yes, there we go. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And now let's have a look. Okay, so this guy's all by himself, but we could easily take this. Look at this. They have literally nothing at all in there that is going to be that difficult for us to deal with. Woodsman Village is also under siege. Let's see if I can maybe lend my hand. Aha. Wait a minute. What? How is King Thranduil back on his feet so fast? I have no idea how he was back on his feet so quickly, but there you go. Jarl Helkaroth is actually in the village itself. And you can quite clearly tell that he is having a bad time. Yes, he is just about to be defeated. I cannot go in there. That will result in my demise. I am almost 100% certain on that. So there's not much I can do about it. I'm not entirely sure why that happened, to be honest, because I personally feel like the Vale of Anduin is probably one of the easiest factions for pretty much anyone to deal with, because, as I said before, they generally tend not to have shields. So if you have a lot of units with archery or something like that, then you're probably going to have a pretty decent time against them. And that's exactly what is happening most of the time with us, because Rune is a faction of horse archers for the most part. Anyway, let's see if we can maybe get into Bjorning Village here. I would love to be able to before anyone appears. But you can see that there's a number of goody two-shoes little people coming over, and they are going to interfere. Okay, wait a minute. I have to be very careful here. Let me just... Okay, so basically what is going to happen now is this guy is going to try to engage one of the people that is doing the besieging. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very slowly edge here. Okay, now wait a minute. Okay, so now what we want, 100%, what we want, cross fingers, is to be able to go in here with just this guy. I don't think I'm going to be in time. Was I in time? Yes, I was. Okay. Whew. Okay, so this is absolutely perfect. That was perfect timing on my part. Well, it could have been better. It could have been better. Don't worry about that. But we're still going to be absolutely fine here because, let's face it, Mr. Master Berza here has a massive, massive army of huge amounts of orcs, and I'm sure he has some trolls as well. But, yeah, generally, the way that Warband works is if an AI party engages another one, and then you go in right after that, any surrounding AI parties will not join the battle. This obviously is very much dependent on which mod you're playing, because some of them do take this into account, but some of them don't. And if they don't, then you probably want to try and take advantage of this as much as possible, because, let's face it, the AI is not going to care either way if it plays fair. And that's generally what I'm trying to do here. We're trying to take advantage of every single situation to give ourselves the greatest chance of success, because we're gonna need it. Trust me, we are gonna need it later on in this campaign. Things are gonna get very hairy indeed. Things are going to get tense, and we're probably going to end up almost dying. Like I would almost 100% guarantee that later on in the very late stages, we are going to be facing some extremely powerful enemies, and we are going to be thankful that we took every advantage that we could get. That's pretty much all I'm saying right now. So anyway, let's just try and do some damage with my two-handed right here. Seems to be working quite nicely, and most of the messages that I'm seeing right now in the text log are working in our favor. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm actually kind of surprised that the cavalry for Gundabad actually does somewhat consume pretty decent amounts of capacity in your army, because they're not very good. You know, let's just say that. They're not very good in comparison to Rune, for example. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. Anyway, there you go. We did eliminate King Dane and King Brand. Really good. Oh yeah. And we're now also able to rescue a bunch of relatively high tier Rune units as well, which I very much appreciate too. And now we'll just level up a couple more of these people here. We're going to get some Warg Riders. I personally feel like Warg Riders are probably the way to go over pretty much every other unit that Gundabad has, because the skirmishers I have found in the past, when I fought against them as my elven archer, they were just kind of useless. So generally I feel like Warg Riders are really good, because if they get dismounted or if they get killed, the actual rider, then the Warg is going to actually run around and kill things by itself, which is actually kind of fantastic. Usually mounts don't do that, obviously, because they're usually horses and things. But yeah, wargs, they are going to look for their next meal, and they'll go nom nom on your face. Oh, yes, they will. Anyway, now this is where things get a little bit hairy. I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be able to do anything here. Let me see. Okay, wait a minute. Could you go in there and help your friend? Yep, thank you. All right, so this is perfect. Too late. I was too late right there. Okay, yeah, so did you see that? I didn't want Muriel to be able to get into that particular fight. Now, this is going to be very... I don't know, actually. Is it going to be bad? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, let's try it. We can always retreat because we are the ones that have the advantage here. We are the ones that have the initiative. You know, roll initiative. Haha. Yes. Hopefully we'll get a nat 20 very soon. Yes, that would help. Anyway, I'm sure I'm just going to literally roll a 1 right here at this point. But anyway, let's just tell all of our people to charge in. We need to show a united front here. United front is the most important thing when dealing with Gundabad units. You need to make sure that every single person is on the same page and that they are all going in at relatively the same time. Because if they don't do that, then you're going to see something like this happen, where they go in one at a time and they are literally just all going to get killed separately, which is absolutely useless. That is really not what you want them to do. So let's just try and kill some archers and various elves from behind, because those guys are probably the most dangerous that we're going to face. And I'm just going to try and deal some damage to them. I don't really care if I get any kills, even though it would be useful. But generally, getting kills is secondary to just dealing a little bit of damage here and there and being able to weaken the opponent somewhat. Okay, I've got to be careful about polearms, obviously. Polearms are very, very problematic. And also, we have to be careful of these bear warriors, too. Bear warriors are the, I believe, the elite unit that the Vale of Anduin has available to them, and they are very strong. So we should be a bit careful of them. But otherwise, nothing really to worry about too much. Hopefully we'll be okay. I'm actually riding really slowly for some reason. Is my horse lame or something? I'm actually not entirely sure whether it got injured in a previous battle. And in which case, if it did, then I am running around on something that is much, much slower than it really should be. Because I feel like I'm very slow right now. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. Maybe it's because I'm going uphill. That might be the reason. But let's just continue to try and do some damage here and there. And how many have we eliminated so far? Wow, actually pretty decent amounts. We've only lost about 5 of my own units, which is really, really good. Being able to maintain your own army, that is basically the key to being relatively efficient at playing the last days. Because here's the thing. Here's a small little tip if you're not familiar with the last days, or if you're thinking about playing it yourself, or maybe you're having issues with it or whatever. But here's a small tip that I learned through hard times. Oh, you know me. I have many hard times in every single aspect of Mount and Blade. But yes, from my experience, basically it is a good idea to leverage your allies' units and try to, well, basically safeguard your own as much as you possibly can. Because if you do that, I mean, it may seem like, well, duh, you know, it may seem like a super obvious thing to say, but it's actually very, very true and will definitely result in you having a much better time of things over the long run. But generally, you've seen yourself in this particular series so far. You've seen yourself that the enemy is capable of rallying their units super, super fast. They're able to gather their units again almost immediately after being defeated. Like King Thranduil, for example. We defeated him earlier on in this episode, and what did he do? What did he do at the end of that? He literally just went, okay, I'm okay, and then he just pulled out like 150 units or something like that. And that's what I mean. If you're in a situation where you have to sacrifice your own army to safeguard one of your AI people, don't do that. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Anyway, we are having some slight problems now. I've actually lost 47 of my own units, which is indeed a bit of a problem. That is a bit of a problem. However, as I said before, it is problematic for us to lose a lot of units. However, I should be able to go to the main rune camp and recover quite a few of them, and then I can prey upon maybe an Erebor prisoner train or something along those lines to gain even more of them. So it's not the end of the world if you end up losing a lot of units, but it is definitely not what you want to do. The main reason why I'm doing it right now is because it's fun. It's actually fun to go into such a large-scale battle and see how you do. And I actually got a couple of kills. I did improve my two-handed weapon proficiency quite nicely, and we are going to see a large swathe of vassal units be eliminated in this particular skirmish, and I'm very much happy about that, because that means that all of their combat strength is going to dwindle, it's going to plummet down into the depths of despair, and we're going to be really, really happy about that. And hopefully that is going to be the beginning of the end, so to speak. Because you may think, oh, you know, the King Thranduil being able to pull out so many units again straight away, that must mean that he's doing absolutely fine. But I think that's a desperation move. Yeah, he's desperate. He's trying his hardest to stem the hemorrhaging blood that is just literally coming out of his faction right now. He's losing combat strength by the bucket load. And you can see here, look at this. I literally gained 312 rank points with Mr. Master Berza right there. And look at this. We've got a bunch of rune units that I'm able to rescue as well, which I very much appreciate. I find it super funny, by the way, that all the orcs survived, but all of my rune units got killed. Ah, that always happens to me, doesn't it? Okay, well, let's continue to just level these guys up. We're going to get some more berserkers right there. Berserkers are always fun to watch, in my opinion. Any single time there's a berserker unit, I'm always like, oh, we want to see that guy in action, you know? Because anytime you can see a berserker in action, just like swinging hard against the opponent, you're going to have a really fun time. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really want anything else. And we have Mr. Lord Bard right here, who is pretty much not going to be able to do anything. I'm just going to speak to this guy real quick. I want to request this. Oh, you have no. Yes. Okay, yeah, I have no space, unfortunately. So let me actually just quickly. Dried meat, maggoty bread. I should probably let something go, like. Probably just this, right? Okay. Now let's see what we can actually get from him. Okay, just orc brew. Alright, yeah, there's nothing much there. I could actually, let me just get some orc brew, because I don't have any right now, and it might make sense for me to use it. There we go. Because that's going to give me some stat boosts and everything. Alright, so let's see what happens here, because personally, if I were these guys, I would go straight in against Lord Bard right here. And we would probably be able to achieve victory without too many difficulties. I'm obviously talking kind of a little bit of rubbish right there, because I am obviously not really capable of entering the battle, let alone contributing to it in some meaningful way, because I have 12% HP, which is really, really bad. Anyway, should I go in here? Yes, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, look at this. Erebor is now weakened. Look at that. And look, Dale has diminished. Is now spent and wavering. Oh yeah, that's what we want to see. Look at that. Faction strength. Look at that. The Woodland Realm is now spent and wavering. Deo is spent and wavering. That means they are below 1,000. The Vale of Anduin is almost below 1,000 as well. So they are almost done. They're basically almost dead. And at that point, what is left for us? Well, what's going to happen then is that Gundabad is going to advance down the map. Rune is going to advance down the map. And obviously, we are going to make the elves pay for dealing, well, shall we say, for messing with our Moria cousins or something along those lines. But generally, there is going to be a pretty significant twist later on in the campaign, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen, because I think I've forgotten. I kind of know what happens, but I'm not entirely sure on the finer details of it, so I suppose we'll find out together when that happens. I'm not going to spoil myself. So anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.